One of the biggest off-season questions we had for the Falcons, particularly offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, is how are we going to get the Falcons' big three, as in our top 10 picks, involved? Well, we've seen Bijan Robinson have back-to-back fantastic weeks. Poor defenses on the other side, but that's what you're supposed to do against poor defenses. Kyle Pitts, 3 weeks in a row with at least 60 yards. 2 of those with over 70 yards. I think he's in the top 5 in receiving among tight ends. He's starting to get separation. He's starting to look like the guy he was as a rookie. Drake London has blossomed into undoubtedly, he's been a top 10 receiver this year. And I think if he continues on this pack, we're going to be talking about him as a top 5, top 10 receiver perennially in this league. He is that good. Darnell Mooney's obviously having a huge year. You can say a lot of things about the Falcons' flaws, whether it be defensively, offensively. It hasn't all clicked all at the same time. But one of the biggest things we wanted to see this season were those guys start to look like top 10 picks, and we're starting to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, I'd say beginning, and I did an article on it, sportstalkatl.com. Go check it out. That I specifically changed the title because they haven't realized their full potential. Drake London is by far the closest one, banging on the door of being that number one wide receiver in that draft class, being the best guy. Kyle Pitts, highest drafted tight end of all time. This is still not where you want him. You want him even better. And the same thing with Bijan Robinson. When you take a running back in the top 10, you're talking about like a Derrick Henry-esque kind of impact. But with that being said, Drake London is top 10 in receptions, yards, and touchdowns among receivers. Kyle Pitts is top 5 in yards, top 10 in receptions among tight ends. And Bijan Robinson is top 5, maybe just outside of the top 5 in scrimmage yards. So everything is starting to get really, really close to the Falcons being like, our investment is starting to pay off. Drake London, I think, he's there. I think Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson are in a totally different conversation. And Kyle Pitts is capable of getting there. Bijan Robinson might not be able to just because of the shared carries with Tyler Algier, which should be the case. I'm just saying from a pure touches standpoint, he might never be that Christian McCaffrey guy because Christian McCaffrey gets, 30 touches a game. He did last year. But from a Falcons fan standpoint, Kirk Cousins and Zach Robinson have been a godsend for our 3 top 10 picks. You spend 3 top 10 picks on skill players, you don't really see any sort of positive return on them until year, for Kyle Pitts, it's year 3, Drake London, or Kyle Pitts year 4, Drake London year 3, Bijan Robinson year 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still the books. I'm opening up a little bit more on Kyle Pitts. I've been hard on Kyle Pitts. I think you should have been hard on Kyle Pitts because injuries aside, he just hasn't been a very, very good player for a guy that was drafted 4th overall.
That's not my friend. I can be hard on him.
Yeah, but I'm opening up to the idea that maybe I was rushed to judge. Maybe a lot of people were rushed to judge. I think he's become a little bit more of a focal point in the offense. He's become definitely a safety blanket of sorts, which is what you want to see from your tight end. Just those kind of. He seems like when Kirk Cousins under pressure, he's looking at Kyle Pitts more and getting him the ball, which is good to see. I'm open to the possibility that maybe we rush to judgment. I'm waiting for Bijan Robinson, though, to enter himself into that Drake London category that you're talking about, because I watch Bijan Robinson every single week, and there's plays where you're just like, that's different. That's different than the rest of the league. That's Christian McCaffrey. Yes, that's different. I don't see that from other running backs, even the top guys around the league. And I'm just looking for him to be a little bit more explosive. We're starting to get these 20 carry games where he gets 100 yards or 15 for 100 yards. But I'm talking about strictly like big plays, like breaking 50, 60, 70-yard runs, because we know he has that capability. And it seems like he's constantly getting tackled by the last guy, just unable to make that last guy, or he gets tripped up by an ankle, and that would be a 30 or 40-yard gain that you're expecting from a guy that was an 8th overall pick. And I think it's there. Like, there's just too much talent when you watch him carry the ball, and he's so hard to bring down that it just feels like he's literally so close to just starting to turn these 10-yard plays into 30 and 40 and 50-yard plays. I still think Bijan Robinson is the most talented player on the Falcons. He's the only jersey on the Falcons I've had in the last 10 years. I love Bijan Robinson and I keep waiting for it. I'm looking for that to happen at some point this season. I really think he can do it. I really, really, really think he can do it. And that's what I'm looking for these final 8-9 weeks of the season.
Yeah, to flip to Kyle Pitts, I think that, Zach Robinson just decided like, oh, hey, I got a horse of a tight end who can gallop past every defender as long as you just get him going in one line. And he stopped asking him to run 5-yard ends and 5 yards out and slants. And he's starting to get him to stretch the field. And Kyle Pitts isn't a 4-2 guy, but his strides are incredible. And when you can get him to play above the rim, that's where Kyle Pitts kind of thrives. And I think Zach Robinson and Kirk Cousins are starting to figure that out a little bit. And he's the next one, in my opinion, because like I said, I think Bijan Robinson's always going to have a difficult time breaking through with his, because I don't think his role is going to expand much more than it already is right now. I think they found a formula that works for them. I don't think they should go away from it. I think it's going to benefit both of them, the entire offense in the long run. But Kyle Pitts is the one where, you're going to see maybe a 12 reception, 150-yard, 1 touchdown game where you're like, okay, this is what we were expecting to get from a 4th overall pick.
And how much does that vertical passing game open up everything else? I think it opens up everything, right? If Kyle Pitts is going to run right past you, you can't guard this 4 or 5 or 6 yard slant or out route or whatever you want. I mean, like, you're going to have to play back off of him. So if you can continue to threaten and use him in that vertical passing game, it's going to open up everything else for the offense, for the entire offense, but Kyle Pitts in general. And it does feel like we're just maybe a week or two away. And this Bucs game, you talk about
this is a perfect
opportunity for everybody to eat, for that 7-8 catch, 110-yard, 2 touchdown game from Kyle Pitts.
I mean, the first Bucs game, everybody came away, happy. Everybody got their mouths fed. Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kadero Hodge, Kyle, everybody got to eat a little bit against that Bucs defense, and it's still bad. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Gotten worse.
Yeah. So, and they're on a short week. The only benefit they've got,
and they got the Chiefs.
They're at home, and that's the only benefit. And this is not on that side of the ball. Mike Evans is the heart and soul of that Bucs team. Has been his entire career. Future Hall of Fame, first ballot. Him going down and Chris Godwin going down in the same game, Chris Godwin out for the season, Mike Evans gone for at least, I think somebody said 4 weeks, or at least till their bye week.
After their bye week, week 11.
That kind of stuff, knocks the wind out of your sails. And you can try and be independent, next guy up, but sometimes you just get beat down. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for those 3 guys to build off of what they've done thus far.
Yeah, I mean, you say short week. I mean, it's a short week for the Bucs. They get to stay at home, but they also have the Chiefs next week on Monday Night Football. So it's a huge sandwich game. It's a tough spot for the Bucs that we've said all week.
That's a brutal stretch, actually. To think about it.
And they had the Falcons just a couple weeks earlier on Thursday Night Football. So a very, very tough stretch for the Bucs, and the Falcons need to take advantage of this, and their offense needs to take advantage of, and hope we see big performances from the big 3 in the Falcons offense.